Now is the process of sewing the collar. Before you sew the collar, it's important to run one line over the neck like this. The reason why, because the curvy around the neck is curvy, so it's like stretchy. And if we don't be careful, it can be stretchy over and over by time. So even we measure it correct, when we sew it's still different. You can sew a seam like this, or you can even do interfacing layer, like the sticky paper to fix the neck around. You mark the center of the front. Front center. You mark it here. And start. Use the measuring tape to measure all the way around and see how much the curve is, how long the curve is. Straight up the measuring tape. Around 18.5 centimeter. 18.5 centimeter, and we will write down this number. Okay, so we have a number of the half curve neck is 18.5 centimeter. And now we will draft the pattern for the curve neck. So imagine this is the middle. We start from here. We draw a line. A square angle like this. 18.5 centimeter. And we can be creative on this part. 1 and 18.5 up here. And the more curvy it is, the more it will settle down, the more it will lie flat on the neck. If you want it to stand more straight, you can make it less curvy. Ideally, I think 6 centimeter at the end up is good already. So from here you make it up 6 centimeter around like this, around this line, 6 centimeter. 6 centimeter from the bottom line here. And then from here to here you can take around maybe 15 centimeter, because it's 18.5, so you take around 18.5 minus 3.5 is 15. Of course you can take 14, as long as the curve later we draw is like 18.5 is good. And the curvy will start curvy up, but still straight from here and slowly up, slowly moving up a little bit. In this case, I encourage you to use a ruler, or you can even divide it into 4 equal parts like this. And this one you move it up half centimeter or 1.2 centimeter. This one you move it up 1 centimeter, and this one like 1.5 centimeter, something like it. Slowly move it up. For me, I like it to be more curvy, so I will draw it up more. And then I check by the measuring tape. It's only 17.5, so we need like a little bit more. You can draw it a little bit more up here. So we see 18.5. 18.5 like that. So I have this line. Of course, it's totally okay if you want to draw it curve up like that more. No problem. It really depends on your design. As I said, the more curvy this line, the more it will sit close to your neck. If not, it will be more standing up if we do it like straight line like this. So this one I will decide how much I want for the color, like 3 or 2 centimeter. For me, I think 2.5 for me is good. 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 here, and 2.5, and at the end here also 2.5, everywhere, all the way around, and 2.5 here, and 2.5 here. And then you will draw the curve here at the end, 2 centimeter or 3 centimeter from here. Slowly draw the curve like that. So now I have the curvy part for the collar, and I will cut everything like 0.8 or 1 centimeter all the way around. For this part, I will cut it a little bit longer at the end here. You know, in case like the fabric got stretchy or anything, I can still take it from this part, you know. And at the bottom here, I spare 1 centimeter. And I cut this part out. When I cut on fabric, I don't cut it straight with the grain like that. I cut it more 45 degree. 45 degree fabric, why I choose that angle? Because if straight fabric like this, it's not stretchy. 45 degree like this is this angle and it's more stretchy. It's very common when 45 degree fabric or bias binding, you know, people use on draping design because it's stretchy and it will wrap around the curve better. So now I will cut totally 4 pieces together. Because I have the inside layer, the outside layer, I will draw and then cut 4 pieces total. Tiếp theo, and next you need to cut the interfacing layer, and remember even the fabric like this have the 2 direction. If this straight, you shouldn't cut it straight like this. You should cut in the direction that it can be stretchy like this. So you put it on. So people will ask like, you will cut the whole thing or you will cut the like one space like a part, spare the seam allowance. So it really depends. If you feel like the interfacing is not so thick, you can cut the whole thing. If not, you can cut and then trim the seam allowance out. And after, you will press the iron machine to make sure the glue part here stick to the fabric. Next thing you need to do now is sew the collar here together. You line them up 2 layers together like this, and you sew the top first together. You turn it inside out and go iron the collar. Now we will continue to sew the collar after you iron two part here. Of course, when you sew here, I will go back stitch, so I can open it and sew it over the collar here better. This is the middle I mark, so now this one is with this one, correct? So I flip it over, I open this part a little bit by 1 centimeter where I start to sew. And now here I start to sew places connection matching with the line, with the middle line, and then I sew. I had to place a collar matching with this collar. During the process, to avoid stretching the collar here, because you know this is curvy. So of course this is like 45-degree fabric. It will be easy to stretch, so you try to not pull it, but pull the collar is better. So push the fabric here. Push it, but it's not like a wrinkle. And I sew until the end here. After we sew, it will be like that. You can turn this one around and see the collar will be together like that. The top here, the back here. Later we sew this one, and when you have this at the end already, you can flip it over like this to see how much you need, right? How much you need to fold back like this at the end here already. Still spare some space for the seam allowance here. You flip it over again, fold it one up by 1 centimeter, same like that, and then sew a straight line here. Of course, we can cut the zipper inside when we cut. Like that, and then you trim the edge here out. And later you can flip it over. That. So this part be inside. So this part also. We do similar for the other side. And then this part, everything gonna be fold up here and hiding everything inside by invisible stitch. So you fold like that. You can use the pins to pin them together. Pin them together first, and later we do it by hand is better. Of course, you can sew on top like this. From the outside, you sew on top. But I think it would be nicer to sew it from inside. And this part here, you can cut the extra here out. Here out. This one you can fold up, same. And this part, we sew it, everything inside by invisible zipper, invisible stitch. So like that. And then after sewing this, the other rest, I'm gonna do it by hand so you can see better. Now I sew the other rest here. Okay, step 2. Okay, continue with the other rest. You can pinch it a little bit here, which is no problem. Pinch it a little bit like that. So now this part here. Of course, this part where we open here 1 centimeter. At the beginning, you can do it like this. First, like this. we sew together. This one fold in. So go back slit here a little bit. Go back slit at the top. This part being sewn here together. I suggest you can do it by hand this part first before you sew, which will make it like more exact, more correct, more exactly at the same spot, you know, like that. This part you sew from where to where? It's very easy to make a mistake here because we all right-handed, so we feel easier to sew from here to here rather than sew like this. But in this case, I think sew from the middle will be much more precisely. So you open this is where we open 1 centimeter and we place it direct exactly meeting this point. We open this whole thing out again, like that. The meeting point in, and then we start sewing. So during the process, still be careful not like we do similar thing like the other rest. Okay, so when we finish from the outside, the collar look like that. And for inside, now is the time to use invisible stitch to help. So now what is like invisible stitch and how it works for this? In this case, I had to make it closer so people can see better. You flip the seam here, inside, and this one over, like that. You fold it in as a seam, and then you will hand sew this part together. So first, can use the pin. Some pin already useful. Okay, like that. Sit them naturally, okay? Like handle them naturally instead of like too like stretchy whichever way. Just handle them out, flat them down naturally and fold matching the line we already sew, like that. It's good. And then pin. And then here also pin. And then here fold in and pin. And you do is similar for the other one. pin, fold like that, and do it similar for the other one. If you feel it interfacing, can trim a little bit the edge, but be careful. Be careful, don't trim so much. The fold in. And this on everything high inside. Everything was high inside of the collar. Everything ugly. The thread, things like that. Like that. Fold up nicely like that. And then later we can hand sew these two together nicely more. So this one. Too much interfacing, can change so it's less and less. Fold up nicely without any issue, and fold in without any issue also, like that. Yep. Redo it. Yeah, the rest here is the thread. Yeah. And later we open the seam here, we already fixed also. We can go and iron to make it easier. Iron, settle it down, everything down nicely. This part. Đây, mình sẽ mô phỏng invisible stitch này như nào nhé. Ở ngoài này thì đây là điểm gặp gỡ. Mình sẽ gấp này vào trong và mình sẽ khâu lại. Thì có thể đoạn này nó hơi ví dụ như đoạn này đoạn gặp gỡ này nó hơi bị hở thì mình cũng có thể sâu từ bên trong này luôn. Đây, cái điểm gặp gỡ này. Đó, giấu cái nốt vào trong đấy để khâu chạm cái điểm gặp gỡ này vào đây luôn. So I call you invisible zipper, invisible stitch, and this is the meeting point. I can fold this one inside, fold everything inside the seam, and this one inside also. So the outside look like that. And I go on the surface only, like that. Go on the surface of this layer also. You can use the same thread as the collar, is good. This is a little bit lighter blue, but it's okay also. Like that. See, like that. And then go on the surface of this one. Be careful not pop out the bottom layer. So like that. The smaller you go, the smaller stitch tensor like step you go, it will be better. Sit them naturally. And now next thing, I hope you can see good from that angle. Okay, like this. Excuse me, I have to adjust the camera so the vision better. So basically this have the inside layer of the blue here and the inside layer of the red, and we only go on the inside layer, the surface of the inside layer, like that. One step forward on the blue and go straight on the red, like that. So it's sewed together, but the outside don't have any seam. And I keep going with this. Of course, if you want to do some hand embroidery, you should do it before you do invisible stitch. You can do some embroidery on the collar, will be nice also. Wish I want, but in this style I have so many hand painted indigo wax batik, so I don't really need it more. Like that. Sometimes people confuse the surface and go like that. And go more, but I suggest you go smaller step and take the needle out like that. And then keep going, the blue layer go on the surface inside a little bit, just to attach the two layers together. And then the next one, see, like that, it will be sewed together like that. And then keep doing until the end. Of course, you can go on YouTube, invisible stitch, so maybe you find better video for this step. At the end, the collar will look like that from the outside and the inside. You can also add a little bit to make sure that they stay strong together. The connection at the connection here. Just follow the step again and connect these two together nicely. So the traditional Vietnam outside, yes, hand sew is the important step and cannot skip also. Of course, you can do the machine run very fast and I connect this to this. And all the process connect really fast. But the hand sew make it more. I really enjoy the hand sew step like this. Yep. And cut the extra out. Extra the other thread out and trim it out. And I can repeat a little bit and end it around here is fine. Tie the knot when you finish. Tie the knot, or you can hide the thread inside, like pocket inside. And then cut. So we already finished the back, the zip, the collar, and at the back here, in case you want to have the collapsing part, there is a button that can help you do. There is a tool like this. You can hand sew on the back, on the top collar here, inside part, to join them together. And this one will be this way. And there is another one to solve, but I don't have the other part. And at the end, the collar will look like this, the front and the back.